Greetings and salutations, this is another Dragon Bros video. This is more of a... This is an actual video, not exactly dedicated, but more or less focusing on Mr. Jim Cornette. Mr. Cornette, I am a professional wrestling fan for the better part of 36 to 37 years. I started watching the sport when I was 4 years old right here in Sydney, Australia, watching the legendary Hulk Hogan with the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight title, and seeing Ric Flair in NWA, later becoming WCW, with Vern Gagne and other such professional wrestlers from various territories like the AWA, WCCW, and Georgia Championship Wrestling. I have utmost respect for what they've done in the past with the invention of the championship belt, showing that the participant who is the holder of that belt is the face of the company if it is a world heavyweight title or tag team or various other divisional rankings. I do have the utmost respect for what you have done in this business. Being a manager to one great tag team in the Midnight Express, and one great world heavyweight champion in Yokozuna, and many other wonderful talents that have been under your tutelage. But then, Mr. Cornette, like some of the people who you look at your age now, like you're in your 60s, in 60s to 70s, and you started in the late 60s. A lot has changed in the 50 plus year career that you've had in the fine combative arts in professional wrestling. Back then, quite a lot of the older generation, like Lou Thez, Bobo Brazil, and would have seen you as, who is this young person? Why is he taking up the spot of this legendary manager or that legendary manager or some other legendary figure? When you were first starting in this great professional sport of professional wrestling, you would have had a lot of naysayers and other such individuals that would have put you down. They would have taken a good long hard look and seen, why is this pencil neck little shit wearing a suit? Why is it so colourful? Why is it this? Why is it that? Why is it the other? And why is he talking so funny? Why is he talking like from what you've said, that in various videos that you've started your career in the southern states of America, well, not southern states of the United States of America to be more correct, that you have a bit more of a northern United States accent. They said, why is this Yankee doing in our territory? And guessing you would have tried, and they would have tried to run you out. But yet you've stayed the course of a half a century plus as the aforementioned of you managing great talent over the years and being a great teller of what actually happens inside the ring, putting together great matches, very rarely using stipulations. I give you credit for that. But over time, you have like just within the past 20 years, I've noticed something more so, actually more so within the past decade. It's all this animosity towards the younger talent. And you having this animosity towards this talent, it's not exactly showing the like the modern day wrestling fan that you have respect for their choices in watching this great pantheon of heroes, villains, and ne'er-do-wells. It's just like I'm just in my early 40s. You've been a manager a lot longer than I've been alive. You've been in the wrestling business a lot longer than I've been alive. You were what? Just a young teenager when you first started, and now look at you in this uh, day and age. You've seen a lot. You've done a lot. You've blown your knee in a scaffolding match, and Ray Taylor, aka Big Bubba or Big Boss Man, not catching you in time. You've done it. You've seen the rise and fall of promotions. But that is what actually happens in the world. And for someone who does have this sort of nostalgia for like, oh, I can remember when Bruno Sammartino would have the WWF World Heavyweight title and he made it special. It's not like how this Roman Reigns fella has two belts, and having these two belts makes him a whole champion. Bruno Sammartino only had one, and he was still the champion then. I I feel that energy coming from you. Though you may not have said that particular saying that Roman Reigns, like Roman two belts, isn't a isn't the true champ, isn't like a true champion compared to Bruno one belt. It's just over time you've seen the collapse of WCW. You were working for WCW when it collapsed. Not blaming you, I'm blaming a fella that has a name that sounds like is a that looked like a dead like dead dog's balls, who now looks like who now looks like a even more wrinklier dead dog's balls, dressing up like Santa Claus. And he has the the addiction of saying bro a lot. And no, I'm not talking about Matt Riddle in the WWE now. I'm talking about an idiot that claimed that he did so much for one company and poisoned another and virtually fucked up a different one. I agree with you that he messed up tremendously. But you gotta admit, but I see that you are this elder statesman that needs to educate the young fan, properly educate the young fan of what professional wrestling was about back in the day. You just need that. You just need sorry. You just need that time to be patient enough to explain the reasons why you don't like certain wrestlers and certain talent. I know that you and a certain gimmick of professional wrestling is quite hard for you, like hardcore wrestling and uh, divas matches with and female like models wrestling in bra and panties matches are a thing that you don't like. Well, Mr. Cornette, can you please explain, do like a logical explanation why you say hardcore wrestling is garbage wrestling, or explain why anything on a pole match is not exactly good. You can you please just do this sort of thing? I love and I respect you, Mr. Cornette. I want to see championship belts in the WWE become prestigious again. Not for them to look like some pathetic thing you can go to, like go back in the day to Toys R Us and go to the action figure section and pick up the belt for like $5 and it looks like a play toy. That's what I do see with the championship belts in the WWE today. They look nothing but overly glorified championship belts that you buy from toy stores. I know you agree with that sentiment. I agree with that sentiment. But Mr. Cornette, I am also a fan of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, with Cody Rhodes thrown in there as well. These four wrestlers, though they were funded by Tony Khan, these four wrestlers started a promotion which is going gangbusters against the World Wrestling Entertainment now. They're about to beat them. But because you have a dislike for 3 out of the 4 men that I mentioned who started that promotion, well, I'm wearing a shirt from that promotion. Uh, it's just sad to think that I'm just saying that it is sad that someone like you, who may have religious different different views like you versus the Young Bucks, or see or you not liking what Kenny Omega did in DDT in Japan. But you got to admit something, Mr. Cornette, that they have made wrestling relevant again. It's not like they're virtually amping it up. Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor, and he could make it work. And I know that you may have some differences of thought to Mr. Khan, but you got to admit that what he's doing, it's It's good for business. It's getting more people interested into professional wrestling. It's getting more people involved with learning about the language, learning about the art, the craft, how, and giving people the professional wrestlers a lot more respect than what they would be normally thinking about. I know I've been watching the sport for 30 plus years now of my life. I've seen Sid Vicious break his leg against when he was going against Scott Steiner. I've seen Taka Michinoku smack his face against the mat in Royal Rumble 2000. I've seen the daring skills of Kofi Kingston in the Royal Rumble match itself. But like I admit that the folding of WCW and ECW was a travesty on the professional wrestling industry. And it was a lazy and very much a detrimental thing for Vince to want not wanting to go forth with this, go into thinking that this could actually work out. Maybe have maybe put ECW on MTV. Put Monday Nitro. Put maybe take out SmackDown and put in there WCW Nitro on CBS, and on NBC put Monday Night Raw. 3 different promotions, 3 different nights under one banner. The World Wrestling Entertainment. And you got 4 different companies underneath there, and you can have as many, not as many pay-per-views as one. Shit, you can have 4 Raw, well 4 WWE, 4 WCW, and 4 ECW. Actually, 3 WWE, 3 WCW, 3 ECW pay-per-views, and have the big 4. And that could have worked out well for a number of years. But still, Mr. Cornette, I know you would have thought that would have been the most beautiful thing to do. Hire more guys in and see how it works. But yet, all I've just been hearing from you of late, Mr. Cornette, is that you are acting like an old man. A tiresome old man who wish that the NWA domed championship, World Heavyweight Championship belt would still be the most prestigious championship belt in all the world. I love all championship belts, and I do see the pros and the cons in them. The cons with the WWE one is bloody name tags, like nameplates and that which needs not to be anywhere near there. The same with the Big Gold. The Big Gold's one of its flaws was the nameplate too. But yet, Mr. Cornette, when it comes to guys like Kenny Omega, when it comes to guys like the Young Bucks, Kevin Steen, aka now Kevin Owens, please give them a bit more, give them a break. With they are doing things in this era of what people back in your like wrestlers that you used to manage would have wanted to do in the time that they were in the ring. Like have this connection with the fans, have this connection with multimedia places that can give them more financial, give them more financial stability. I know I've seen like I know that I've heard stories about certain wrestlers doing promotional material for the like their neighborhoods butchers, and it was on their like on the local radio station, or a rare occurrence like a Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes would be doing TV ads for like a chain of car manufact like a car manu no a car yard that goes over a couple of states. With what we have today, Mr. Cornette, is that we got the beauty of the past, the beauty of when you were just a young blossoming manager, becoming a manager of great respect, becoming a behind the scenes guy that knows the, the sport inside and out and willing to give advice to anyone who is willing to take it. I'm not a fan of Joey Janela at all, or a Joey Ryan. I find those two wrestlers to be, more so Joey Ryan, I find that wrestler to be a quintessential pornographic idiot who would rather eat a huge salami instead of working out to get a huge salami. He would rather go to the candy shop and buy a set of fake lips than get a personality where he could actually enjoy the southern garden of a woman's body and be respected for the visitation of said women's garden of the lower body. And we wouldn't have to pay a shit ton of money to do it too. But Mr. Cornette, I'm saying this because I honestly love the stories that you've said in the past, and I wish that you would re-upload the full 2+ hour video of you chatting with the late great Willie Moody, Percy Pringle III, and oh yes, Paul Bearer. I've sat down when that full video is up. I sat down and I watched it 3 times in a row in one day. I've watched. I've watched that video about 20 times in a whole week because I love to hear the stories from great statesmen, great men of character, which I've seen in you and Mr. Moody, talking about how Mr. Mooney pranked Tammy Snitch on a particular item, though she was a my first wrestling crush. Tammy Snitch, or shall we say Tammy Gardito, was my first wrestling crush. That's it. She was my first wrestling crush. And to hear that Willie Moody and her didn't have a, a pleasing time or a feasible working environment was honestly, to see you two talk like that, it was actually heartwarming to watch that video. Please re-upload it in its entirety. Can you please post up more videos of you telling stories of the road? Because well, I am a younger wrestling I know that you're still a fan of wrestling. Young fans like myself and younger fans, we need to hear these stories. We need to hear the experiences that you have put into this business. I would respect. I know that these young wrestling fans would respect you for doing that. And if there's one thing I would ask of you, and I'm just asking you on a polite manner, can you please relax in going after this young talent and that, because they do things a different way than you did. Please give them some credit at least. I know that you, and from what I've done research on with certain individuals that you do not like, I don't like them either. From what they've done to the industry. So what if you can sell pizzas? It doesn't mean that you can sell seats to a wrestling event. And yes, that was an attack against Jim Herd. But yeah, Mr. Cornette, can you please give constructive criticism if it is needed? Us younger wrestling fans, Mr. Cornette, we love you. We respect you, and we want nothing but the best for you. Hell, if certain guys that you are trying to outlive and you want to pee on their grave, I want to see you do it. But yeah. This this heat that you have with these younger talents that are showing nothing but respect for the business and for your own health, to pee on these different bastards' graves. What do you say? Thank you, fuck you, bye, which I use on the regular if someone pisses me off, in one form or another. I just yell at them, hey you dumb fuck, thank you, fuck you, bye. I give credit to you for teaching me that particular dismissive farewell. And lastly, Mr. Cornette, I would love it. I'd love to see you in the NWA Hall of Fame or any wrestling Hall of Fame because you are like screw this whole professional wrestling Mount Rushmore bullshit. For you, Mr. Cornette, you are in my pantheon of professional wrestling talent. You're up there with Dusty Rhodes. You're up there with Mr. Paul Heyman. You're up there with Eddie Guerrero. Up there with the great revolutionary man. And I have not seen this guy's matches, but I've heard of his reputation. Mr. Gorgeous George. Plus, in my pantheon, there's quite a lot of professional wrestling talent over here in Australia. A pantheon means a collection of deities. And Mr. Cornette, you are a member of my pantheon. And on that note, Mr. Cornette, and to other fans of Mr. Cornette's, and to rephrase a saying of yours, thank you, fuck them, goodbye. Much love to you, Mr. Cornette.